so much for being here, and for being here for the beginning of our 31st season of the Las Vegas Brass Band. My name is Dick McGee, and I guess this is starting my 11th season now, and they haven't kicked me out yet, so hey, it's all good. This is, I have to say, ever since I've been with the band, and probably for many years before that, the same person has done all of our artwork, our programs and everything, and she's just really kind of outdone herself. Everybody, say hi to Kelly here. She just does this. It's just amazing, and she always comes up with something that we'll come up, we'll eat food and drink beer in our executive committee sessions and come up with the next program, or it's a meeting. Yeah, it's a board meeting. Well, I forget that because I forget everything by the end of those things. But anyway, she comes up, we'll take this idea, and this started off as an idea of just being sort of like American music coast to coast. We'll do another Americana program later on, but it kind of grew from that. Because, well, like this first thing, for example, you might think that it's Columbus because of Christopher Columbus, or you might think because there's like 5,000 towns in the United States named Columbus, maybe it's like that. No, it actually is named that to honor one wing of the International Space Station. Well, that's cool, but it's not coast to coast anymore if we put that in the program. So you see, this is what happens when you drink a lot of beer and eat a lot of curry at those Indian restaurants we always go to. So she came up, I think, with the idea of road trip through the universe, and she actually, just like last week, had all of us act stupid, and she took a picture of all of us, and she somehow photoshopped it into this bus. We had no idea what she was trying to do with this thing, but I just think it's the coolest thing ever. One more time. Guys, thank you so much. So, we are going to be doing a lot of music that involves other places. We're going to start kind of close to home here in Appalachia. And this is an original piece, but it actually uses old folk tunes. Sourwood Mountain, Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair, and Canton Races. This is called the Appalachian Mountain Folk Song Suite, so it's in 3 short movements by a great composer who's written a lot for orchestra, band, and brass band. Interestingly, James Curnow, the composer, is one of the very few that the great John Williams allows to arrange his music for him for other ensembles, so that's high praise right there. This is an original of his, the Appalachian Mountain Folk Song Suite. gentlemen. It's a fun piece to play. And, actually, we're going to pause and move away from the program for just a moment to pay tribute and think about for a moment what's going on there in parts of Appalachia right now. And I'm talking about Eastern Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, after Helene, and of course Milton went blasting through Florida. We just sort of need to think about that. So we were talking about it, and I guess it was Tony over there. Yeah, Tony. He's a lawyer. He's always thinking up things, He just thinks of things all the time. Anyway, he said, we really ought to do something, So what we're going to do is we're going to do something like we do every week. When we start our rehearsals, we have this red book here. I think it's red. Anyway, I'm mostly colorblind. And we play a hymn in it every day as a warm-up. So the old Navy hymn, Eternal Father Strong to Save, that's in here. So I thought, let's just take a moment and think about what we might be able to do to help out, whether it's the Red Cross or prayers or happy thoughts or flying down there and shoveling mud or whatever, because these folks are in a lot of need right now. So this is one of our favorite hymns anyway to warm up on, so we thought we'd show you how we start our rehearsals each week. But we're doing it for the people who are suffering right now. With a hymn and end our rehearsals with a hymn. And this is actually without asking anybody what their religious convictions are, or if they even have them. It's just a good way to take a moment. We listen to each other from a technical standpoint, kind of start playing as a unit. But it's also just a nice moment. And if we've had a difficult rehearsal, which of course never happens with this band, but if we ever did, playing a hymn at the end is kind of a cleansing sort of a thing too. And it usually leads its way to another bar and more beer. Yeah, great. Okay, we're going to kind of continue with the same thing with American folk music right now and do something that was at the end of the great ballet Appalachian Spring by Aaron Copland. And this is the familiar Shaker song. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. A little bit of housekeeping here. We have a gentleman who is just in the country for a few weeks and is the father of one of our tuba players, David Sanchez. This is Ruben Sanchez. His name wasn't on the program, but he's a fine trombonist. So thank you for joining us today. Okay, right now we'd like to bring up, not him. Everybody say hi to our associate conductor, assistant music director, Mr. Phil Schick. I was so confused, I thought it was a flugelhorn solo. It is a flugelhorn solo. Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Rubenstein. He's been with the band longer than I have. 13 years on this band, and we're all still speaking. This is the familiar old rock and roll, I guess it's rock and roll, pop tune, Under the Boardwalk. We're still working on the percussion parts that you'll see. Eat your heart out, Chuck Mangione. Dave's a beautiful player. It's always a pleasure to hear him. We're going to finish up the first half of the program with a medley from great Broadway musical, and I'm really glad to be presenting this kind of stuff again. There are so many shows out there, and have been for a long period of time, that it's important, I think, to remember the great musicals from all the way going back to the 30s, but especially in the 50s and 60s, we had Lerner and Loewe, Rodgers and Hammerstein, all these Broadway shows that had such engaging tunes that became kind of a huge part of the Great American Songbook, as they like to call it. You'll have lots of familiar tunes, Valley High, and the tunes in this one that I think you'll enjoy here, and I hope you do. And so here's a very nice medley from South Pacific, Rodgers and Hammerstein. well, what does that have to do with travel? Isn't that some kind of candy? Anyway, now this is the technical term, I suppose, given when there is an exploding star, that begins the star building process, the beginning of galaxies and things like that. So the bus couldn't actually get there, but we will take you there musically. So here we go with Starburst by Dan Price. variety of different kinds of things to the stage. But what we're going to be doing for the next 3 tunes is everything's going to be a blues tune. You might say, why would you do a thing like that? Well, they're actually quite different from one another. The first one, for example, is actually based on an old Nat King Cole tune called Route 66. It was actually one of the first things I was thinking about wanting to do with the band when we were talking about a road trip or a coast-to-coast kind of a theme. And it's a chance for, you'll see several people, I think we're up to about half the band now that's going to be playing some jazz solos on this thing. Not that many, but this is a popular one to open up so that people can do a little improvisation. But what I wanted to do also was to combine this with another tune that was made popular in the early 1960s, and it was one of Henry Mancini's earliest big hits as far as a TV theme. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, but there was a TV show on in the early 60s that had 2 guys in there, and they were driving around on a Corvette, and the Corvette was called Route 66. You guys remember that show? It was fun. It was really cool. And it helped kind of popularize the whole route. And I think shows like that paved the way, a pun, for things like Cars, that movie, and everything, because you saw these small towns that were along the highway. It was fun. It was a great thing. Fun theme, and we're just going to put about 24 measures of that theme right in the middle of the Nat King Cole theme. So be listening for that, because it hopefully will bring back some memories if you haven't heard it before. And again, this was one of Henry Mancini's early hits. So music of Nat King Cole and Henry Mancini, and we call it Roots 66. Let's take many beers were consumed. Come up. Thank you very much. Yeah, that was fun to do. We're actually, before we even go on, I want to thank also our percussionists. They're all back here, and they've just come in for one rehearsal. Thank you so much for doing that. We're actually adding one piece to the program because we're doing 3 blues tunes, and this one shows only 2. The next one is on your program. It's called Basis Street Blues. And this is an old, it's one of the very first tunes I ever learned when I was learning how to play jazz when I was, I think about 74, I think, when I was like that. Anyway, but it was a fun tune, it's just a fun tune to fake. And so we're going to be featuring the trombone section on this. There's no pressure, guys. There's no pressure at all. So we hope you guys enjoy it. Basis Street Blues. didn't have into the program is familiar old St. Louis Blues March. Now this is half blues, half march. Now, blues is not only a feeling or a style, but it's also, if you're a musician, it's also a specific chord progression that lasts for 12 measures or 4/4 time. But everybody's changed it over the years. It could be any time signature, it could be any key, it could be any mode, it could be anything. But there is a certain thing that binds all of these pieces together that we've been doing, and that's that 12-bar progression. Interestingly, in each one of these pieces, they kind of take liberties from that, and it doesn't always stay there. This one features our wonderful drummer, Ryan Harrison. Ryan, here you are. And it's just a fun thing, and like I said, it sounds a little bit like a march, and it sounds a little bit like jazz and blues, but it's just fun music. So we hope you enjoy St. Louis Blues. We've been going all over the place, St. Louis and 66. It's also Hollywood. This is a medley of tunes called Breezing Down Broadway. But it also has There's No Business Like Show Business, which I think is more of a Hollywood tune than a Broadway tune. I don't know, somebody set me straight on that one. But anyway, this is a fun medley, and it's got things from several different musicals, including Music Man, Oklahoma, My Fair Lady. We hope you enjoy it. This is called Breezing Down Broadway. These tunes come at you kind of quick, so you gotta be ready for them. Here they go. Once again, we want to thank everybody for being out here this weekend. It's starting to get to be beautiful weather. It's not quite as hot as it's been for the past couple of weeks, but we appreciate you taking the time to come out and hear the band today. Now, we'll be playing again. You can see on the back of your program, we'll be doing a Veterans Day concert this Sunday right before Veterans Day. What is that? Right here. The 10th, and then we'll be doing our Christmas concert on December 8th, right here, same place, same time. Thank you once again to everybody here with the Flamingo Library. Guys, you guys are terrific. Everybody just knows it. Thank you so much. We're going to finish up our program with two movements from one of the best orchestral pieces of the Romantic period. It's the pictures at an exhibition by Modest Mussorgsky. Mussorgsky was a member of a kind of an informal group which became known as the Russian Five. It was all about promoting Russian nationalism, but it wasn't just Russian music. It was music that was anywhere within the general region of Eurasia around that area. For example, one of the members of the Russian Five, Rimsky-Korsakov, composed Scheherazade for the same reasons, but that's more from south of there, if you know what I mean. So this is a wonderful piece of music that was inspired when a friend of Mussorgsky's, Victor Hartmann, who's an artist, passed away. And there was an exhibition of his works. And this music is supposed to kind of represent what would happen if you just walked from one picture to the next. And each picture has its own little musical number. Now, the original, it's been too long since I've taught the music appreciation class. I used to know how many movements there were, but there are 8 or 9 different movements, I think, in the original. In between most of the movements, there's a little promenade, a little bum, 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 bum. You don't want me to sing. No, we're not going to do that. This is just the last 2 movements, and they're fun. They're really great. One is a picture that got the name, the Hut of Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, basically, and it was about this witch that lived in this hut that was on chicken legs, and it had an incantation, and the witch could do this thing, and then the house would get up and start to bounce along, and bump, 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 and then just take off, and you can fly around. Better than a broom. You can take your refrigerator with you and everything. It's great. So that's what that picture is about, and then it's going to go directly into the final picture of the suite, called the Great Gate of Kiev. I used to call it Kiev until we've been watching the news for the past year and a half, and everybody calls it Kiev, so I guess it's Kiev. Anyway, it's also kind of a reminder that all things political are sort of transitory, and these were times back in those days when people in Ukraine and people in Russia got along okay, at least most of the time. So we hope it'll get that way again. But this is just good music. It's wonderful music by Mussorgsky. We hope that you enjoy it. The Hut of Baba Yaga and the Great Gate of Kiev from Pictures at an Exhibition. Here we go. as their theme song. This is the famous, from Philadelphia, see we're still on the road show, the Liberty Bell.